Well, in spite of God doing his best to keep me from making it to Britain, I have arrived.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to me. I'm in London. I'm actually in a recording studio at the moment. Slightly different environments. That's why I sound. If I sound a bit different, that's why, folks.
It's the UK effect that it has on individuals. There is like a passive bonus when you're there. It makes you different.
It EQs you in a slightly different way. Like certain sounds just process differently through the British air. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, so what kind of, you're out there for shows. What are you going to go see?
Well, tonight I am going to go see the Into the Woods production that is at the Bridge Theater, which I'm very excited about. That's a favorite musical. Well, I wouldn't say it's a favorite musical of mine, but it is a musical that I enjoy and have really wanted to see a good live production of. So looking forward to that. I'm seeing Oh Mary because it's cheaper here than it is on Broadway.
That's ridiculous.
And then I'm seeing the play that Abby Thorne is in as well tomorrow.
Nice.
So 3 shows in 2 days. Looking forward to that.
Oh, my God. Have fun.
And I also have tickets to a party tonight, and I'm like 50-50 about if I'm actually going to go because I also only got 4 hours of sleep last night owing to jet lag. So I don't know. I'm doing what I always do and like powering through everything and just being like, fuck it, we ball.
That's exactly what I would do. Like, how could you, fuck suffering. Fuck the effects that it might have on you. You just have to go. Care. Yeah, no, fuck it. You have to go for it. Just do it. Why not? Why not?
But we're back for another B-side here, and we've got a fun little selection for you today because we had a lot of people send us an email or other things, and I'm sure you also got some direct messages or texts or whatever about this, right, June?
Oh, yeah.
The new Xbox, the head of Xbox at Microsoft.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I got a lot of people pointing it out, which thank you so much. I was telling Josh before we started recording that I genuinely love that if like just some random person in the business world or just anywhere is a natalist, people let us know. I genuinely love that. Thank you so much.
So we'll be talking about her and her connections to natalism a little later in this episode. Before we get there, though, this is a B-side, of course, for the Jeffrey Epstein episode, and I feel like we just ought to talk a little bit more about our good buddy Jeff, the New York financier.
Yeah.
And then we'll go through and we'll read some mail. This will just be, a nice relaxed one, right?
I love it. Yeah. Exactly what I need.
So, first thing I'll say, I guess, about Epstein is talk about a fucking cognito hazard. Like we I know I mentioned this on the main episode, but we had so many people reach out to us in different ways about the way that their mental health has been sort of deleteriously impacted by all the Epstein shit, and it just keeps coming.
It does.
I feel like we talked a little bit about Peter Mandelson and his whole thing. Did we even mention that? I can't remember.
I don't think we said his name one bit, but he did get arrested yesterday, I believe. Yeah, which is like crazy. Again, one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, there is actual justice maybe. It's just not going to happen in the United States for a while.
Yeah, he was, I guess, formally... because you know what? It would have been after we recorded, so we couldn't have, right?
Yeah, it was literally just about 24 hours ago, it looks like.
So, like, that's cool.
The Prince Andrew, former Prince Andrew is getting consequences for it. He was arrested, I believe, maybe even the same day we recorded. I can't entirely remember. But yeah, there are like dominoes falling. And like in terms of like a cognito hazard, I like entirely know what you
Monday,
mean.
Actually, by the way, sorry to interrupt. It was on Monday that he actually got arrested. That was the beginning of this week. But there have been updates to the story over the past few days, which is why you're probably seeing yesterday.
Absolutely. But yeah, like with insofar as it being like an incognito hazard, it's one incognito hazard. What am I saying?
Incognito hazard.
Incognito hazard. It's like I feel like I've always loved. I love a good conspiracy theory. There is not a conspiracy theory that I will not entertain at least for a minute. And this is like the conspiracy theorist's wet dream because it makes you crazy. Yes. Every part of it makes you crazy because it's like, okay, this sort of is something that seems crazy, but here are seemingly dozens of emails, hundreds of emails talking about how it's real and happened. And it's like, well, I don't know. It's sort of, it's definitely made me, the last month since some of these files have dropped, definitely made me sort of reconsider the reality that we live in. I think for the better. I'm not like losing my mind. I'm not like leaving reality. I don't think. But it is one of those things where it's like, this is like load-bearing worldview shift in terms of everything that's ever happened in my entire life.
And maybe it's just because I am in the UK again now, but it's pretty remarkable for me seeing the way that, whether you're talking about Andrew or Mandelson or whatever, right, how it feels like there's a sea change going on right now. And that combined with the recent by-election results that just came in, because there was that the Parliament seat, right, the House of Commons seat, where a Green Party candidate was just successfully elected. And I'm sure I'm going to be talking more about that in the various podcasts that I'm going on this week. But like, I certainly think that the situation with Mandelson had an effect too on, it turns out that like when your party's like number one spin doctor was a close associate of Jeffrey Epstein, it's not very good for the political party.
Yeah, I think that's honestly sort of relieving to see, especially because, like, Democrats in the United States have their connections, but Donald Trump is like the guy. He's like the like trafficker. He used his like different pageants to help give people to Epstein, and like Lutnick, all these people. There will have that. I think it will have that downstream effect, and we're sort of already seeing that in the United States.
But will it? Because that's the thing, right?
I think it will a little bit. I think it will.
But the problem is, the big problem, of course, is that his other big guy is Bill Clinton, and so the Democrats, I think. We didn't really go into the politics of all of this on the main episode because we wanted to talk about the connections to natalism. So I think the part of what I had wanted to do in the context of this B-side is just be like, well, what are the political implications of everything that is happening?
Yeah.
Certainly we're starting to see it in Britain, but I genuinely don't know if anything is going to be done in the U.S. about the Epstein files at all. I'm sort of at that point. And I guess when I said like there will be sort of consequences, I'm thinking more so in the fact that maybe Trump will be electorally punished in a midterm. People will like abandon the Republican Party for like a year or so. In terms of actual real consequences, I'm sort of with you. It's so intertwined between both parties for such a long time, with the Clintons, with Trump, with all of these people, everyone, not even just politicians, like rich, powerful people that run some of the biggest businesses in the country and world. It's like it's so intertwined. And nonprofits too, right? Like you've fucking Bill Gates with his foundation, and the way that was all intertwined with Epstein. It's crazy making. That's the only way that you can put it.
It's going to be hard to see a Democratic Party, because I don't think the consequences will ever come from a Republican Party. They just won't. They welcome rapists, pedophiles. They love these people. Notably, a man who assaulted his wife, Jonathan Majors, is now working with Ben Shapiro on a new movie for Daily Wire Plus. So, like, the right welcomes these people. The right welcomes evil people into their project. That's part of the pipeline. That is part of their project, is to welcome these. I'm doing air quotes because he's not just canceled. He's a bad dude, but like canceled people. I think it's going to take more than like a Chuck Schumer aligned Democrat for anything to happen. It cannot be like an establishment traditional choice in the Democratic Party if we get anything. If it's if it's a Gavin Newsom, we're not getting anything.
No, fuck no.
We're not
and that's
getting
the thing
anything
as well, right? Is that a choice needs to be made. At some point, the party, because I don't foresee a world in which you get kind of like what's been happening with the Greens in the UK, where there's a whole other party that spins up to kind of supplant the traditional party. That's just not going to happen in the US because the country is simply too big, as is the Democratic Party, right?
And it's just not set up for multi-party elections that quickly.
No.
It would take
and
decades.
I mean, neither is the UK, to be fair. Like, the UK is also really a two-party system, effectively. But because the scale of this country, the country I'm in right now, is not as massive as the US, you don't need as much in as many places.
For sure. Yeah.
But like, I certainly can't foresee a world in which the Democrats like fully atone for their sins, particularly with regard to people like Epstein, unless they are forced to do so. That's the only way that any of this is ever going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to get these people to do that shit by asking them politely.
Yeah, and I still haven't seen any indication from even the biggest champions of trying to get consequences for a lot of this stuff, like Ro Khanna. Like, maybe I just haven't really...
Ro Khanna is not going to get anything done.
Yeah. Like, the thing is, like, I think he's generally a much better Democrat than, like, most, but I don't think I've seen him specifically be like, and we're gonna do something to Bill Clinton. I don't think I've seen that.
No. Ro Khanna is one of those guys who talks a huge fucking game, but is never going to do jack shit to actually change anything in a meaningful way, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me about that, man. He makes me so angry.
I love, have you ever seen people talk about the Ro cycle, where it's like he does something good, and then he's like, people are like, oh, I love this guy. This guy's great. And then he just does something weird and slightly evil. And it's like, what are you doing, dude? The Ro cycle is so consistent.
Yeah, I'll happily award the Fell For It Again award to anybody who's like, oh, Ro Khanna, what a great guy. Fuck that.
I think he's generally much better than the average Democrat, is what I'll say.
Yeah, that's a low goddamn bar.
It is. I'm desperate. These are desperate times,
These
man.
are desperate times.
Look around. These are desperate times. I never thought I'd be here where I'm like, I'm desperate. Just like, we gotta like fucking do something here. We gotta make something happen.
I also wanted to say, separate from the Epstein stuff, thank you so much to everybody who sent us stuff about Space Warlord Baby Training Simulator. We got a lot of feedback about that after our surrogacy episode specifically. I feel like that's a game that maybe we could like do a stream of at some point.
Yeah.
You've seen this game, right?
So I saw people mention it. I haven't dug into it. Okay. Really. Yeah.
It looks really fun. I'm definitely going to have to check it out.
It looks really cute. I don't know anything about it other than apparently talking about surrogacy reminded a lot of people of this game.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Again, I also have not looked into it too much other than, seeing sort of the core. I like a sim. I always like a sim. It looks like a pretty fun sim. So, you know, maybe we'll look into
we'll do a fun little stream
or something.
We'll do something.
Yeah,
that sounds great. There's a lot of opportunities.
Yeah. Anything else about Epstein that you wanted to throw out there before we move on to the world famous mailbag, Jim?
He's a bad dude. Hopefully,
really?
Yeah. I hope, I don't know. I hope something happens. I hope justice, wherever it comes from, top down, bottom up, who's to say? Yeah. Well, I just hope something happens.
And I would argue too, I guess maybe this is the last thing I'll say about all of this, is we are not going to see that happen from the powers that be. It is incumbent on all of us to make these things happen. That much is so fucking clear to me.
Yeah.
And so, whatever it is that you can do in your community to help pursue justice in some meaningful way, that's what it needs to be.
Actually, I'll just say one last thing is one thing I did last night as of recording. I went to our friends at the Anime Sickos, their Genius Night. Their Genius Night. And what they did determine is through a bracketing process. There's they
did the bracket tournament again.
They did
as the closer.
So they determined what so there's multiple New Years, like the traditional New Year, the Lunar New Year.
Right.
They're like, we got to figure out a new Year. And the year of Luigi did win out. It beat the year of the Balkan or the Balkan New Year. So make of that what you will. It is the year. The new year is the year of Luigi.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything more about that for legal reasons, but I think that's really cool. That's a cool idea.
We love ideas. Mentioned. There's nothing more that we love than ideas.
Nothing more powerful than an idea. Well, let's go ahead and move on then to some letters that we got from all of you this past week in our world-famous mailbag. As always, if you would like to have your letter read in the world-famous mailbag, all you got to do is send an email to illconceivedpod@gmail.com, and we will potentially read your very letter on this show. This one is called Pregnant Women versus Pregnant People. It is from Charlotte, and it says... Dear Josh and June.
No.
For balance, since this is my second email. But guess what? I didn't read the first one. I only read the second one, baby.
God damn it, Charlotte.
I'm just re-listening to your episode on Moms for Liberty, where you have a discussion on why the right deal or about the phrase pregnant people. And yes, some of that is for trans reasons, but also, if you can only have pregnant women, then anyone who can get pregnant is a woman, even if they're 12. Promoting only using pregnant women feeds into the same part of their agenda as allowing child marriage. I get that people don't like to think of children having children, but the youngest recorded mother was 5 at the time of birth, and my mother, as a pediatrician, usually has at least a couple of patients a year that are pregnant under 13. Her practice does cover half a county. The overall rate isn't that high. Best wishes, Charlotte. And I had never thought about it this way. And I think this is a really, really good point.
Yeah. Especially as we, continue to see different like birth control rights seemingly being cast aside. Yeah. There's still indication eventually that, under RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz, that they're going to try to go after birth control or the Plan B, like they're stuff that has really helped plummet, as we talked about in previous episodes, helped plummet teen pregnancies and like child pregnancies dramatically. And it's like the only reason I can imagine why they would want to go after stuff like that is to, as we discovered in one of our episodes, that the biggest cut in the birth rate in the United States is that teen pregnancies just have plummeted.
Right. Yeah. And it stands to reason that they want to get those numbers back up, right? We have seen quite a bit of this rhetoric now start to come back to the fore, where a lot of people are talking about, a lot of men, I should say, in many cases, but not just men, mostly men, are talking really aggressively about how we are simply allowing women to take what would be their best fertility years, and they are instead using those years to go to school and have careers and stuff like that. And the argument that they are making, oftentimes implicitly, but in some cases explicitly, and again, I think it's becoming more and more explicit as this project becomes louder and louder,
Absolutely.
Is, well, we simply need to make sure that they can't do those things.
Yeah. Sorry, I have something to say. I'm just coughing.
June just woke up, by the way. That's the other thing, is with the time difference. It's a nice 5 p.m. over here in London, but for June it is 11 in the morning.
And that's not early. That's not a typical early thing. But it is for me because I was out very late last night. So this is
you must have been screaming last night. I can hear it in your voice a little bit. Were you hooting and hollering?
I was hooting and hollering. I was I said, I was at the Genius Night for the Anime Sickos. After that, I went to a concert, and then after that, I played some pool with a couple of friends.
Oh shit! You had the after party for the after party.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So no, I'm a little rough if that's why my voice sounds a little bit different. It's not the UK that's done it to me. It's just me.
No. The UK's only made my voice different. Like I said, the EQ filter that they put on your voice when you enter the country. You cross the bit immediately. They stamp your passport and they throw the EQ on your voice. Those are the two things they do.
Absolutely. But no, I think that is a very important thing to note. Especially like the specifically the pregnant woman, how it is sort of decent, because I think it's important to note, because the entire project for multiple different prongs is desensitization to a lot of these things that people say.
Yes.
The reason why you see a lot of people be like explicitly anti-Semitic is like they're pushing the boundaries. A lot of it is pushing boundaries, normalizing those boundaries being pushed in our heads, so that when we see things happen, it's like, well, of course, like of course this was going to happen. They've been talking about this, and it's like it's sort of how we saw in Kansas just yesterday, how they are delegitimizing and canceling out a lot of trans people's IDs.
Yeah.
And it's like that's horrifying. But because this has been a long project, a lot of people that aren't super tuned in are just like, well, yeah, of course, like this is just something that's going to happen. Sorry, it's because you went after kids. It's like, well, you didn't. But it's like also it's the continuous like barrage at the brain of desensitization.
I'm old enough to remember when the idea of like doing a bathroom ban, like regulating who can go into what bathrooms legally, was an idea that was considered so insane that they canceled the NBA All-Star game. You remember that, right?
I do. It was considered the 2016 or 2017, whenever it was. I think it was one of those 2 years in North Carolina.
That's what it was, right? It was going to be in Charlotte, I think.
Yeah, Charlotte, North Carolina. Everyone across the board viewed that as a huge political loss and gave North Carolina sort of to the Democratic Party for still a decade-ish at this point.
And it wasn't just political, right? Like, I mean, obviously it is political. Everything is political. But what I remember more strongly is just the sense of, that is so fucking weird. Why would you do something like that?
100%.
And that we're so far away from that now. And in Kansas especially, I think that maybe some people, particularly our overseas listeners, might not realize how much just the idea of having a driver's license in a state like Kansas is essentially necessary to do anything.
Absolutely. You cannot survive in 95% of the country without one.
Because mobility without a private automobile is simply not possible. There might be in some of the cities limited mass transit, but they are essentially disallowing trans people from existing in public life by fully revoking their form of identification. It's obscene.
Horrible. And, they're going to keep pushing these different things. Who knows if that will stick? I think there is still a chance that a court maybe push back on that. I don't know. But all
it's definitely unconstitutional. There's no 100%. Doubt about that.
I think it's one of the most obvious civil rights offenses in maybe a while that I've witnessed in this country.
But you're exactly right that the only way that you get there is by just repeatedly pushing these lines over and over and over again. And to, I guess, go back to the letter, they get so freaked out when you say pregnant people,
Yeah.
Normally when I'm talking about pregnant people, even on this show, more often than not, I will talk about pregnant women just because that is ultimately going to be, most pregnant people are going to be women. But when you are talking about the idea of pregnancy as a concept on a public health level, pregnant people is just a better term because it encompasses everybody who can get pregnant, which, again, the letter writer very aptly pointed out, not everybody is going to be a woman.
Right. I think, it's one of those things that always stuns me that these people genuinely freak out about. Like, they genuinely have, hear pregnant people and recoil. They recoil. It's so weird. They don't recoil at teen pregnancies. They don't recoil at child pregnancies. They don't recoil at mass shootings, but they recoil at a word being more inclusive. It's the weirdest thing in the world. Because
they are afraid, I think, on one level. They fear language, in part because I think they understand how powerful it is. And I think they actually understand how powerful it is much, much better than the left does, frankly.
I think so, too. I'm blanking on the specific example that I've seen before and have used to lay this out. But the way that the right will try to use the language of the left and sort of put, perfect example, wokeness.
Yep.
like over a decade ago, being woke was a descriptor. It was sort of like being like aware of systems of oppression.
Yep.
And the right took this very like apt and like useful word in academia specifically, and now associate it with like blue-haired liberals screaming, crying, and it's sort of become the cultural meaning of that word now. The right will always take words that have meaning and put them on their heads for their own political gains and purposes. Yeah.
Trigger, another great example, right?
Oh my God,
and again, a very specific term in medicine, right? The idea of a mental trigger being an event or something that you experience that immediately sets off an involuntary emotional reaction.
War veterans have this.
Right. And anybody who has suffered any sort of complex trauma will invariably have triggers. Yeah. And understanding what they are and how they work and what they do for you is a very important thing just for mental health generally, because things will happen that are going to set something off in your brain that you have no real control over. And the only way that you can have some degree of control is by identifying what that thing is and being like, oh, I know that this is happening. I hate that this is happening, but I know why and how, and I know that it won't last forever, even though right now it feels like it will. Mm-hmm. But then obviously what ended up happening was with the right being like, oh, you triggered? Huh? Triggered? You triggered? Again, to the point that it's become a meme. It doesn't mean anything. Or fake news is another great example.
Oh my God.
That
There's
originally
so
it was to describe news that was literally fake. Like guys in Azerbaijan creating like web pages that were chock full of news that did not happen,
There's just endless examples of them sort of co-opting language to weaponize it against people and to sort of take back I guess the language war, the linguistic war, because it is a very important thing, and the right is sadly much better at it currently.
And one of the things I guess that I have been trying to do with this show, and I want to make sure that if I don't do it, please let me know. I want to be as precise and specific with language as possible. So all that is to say, if there are times that I do slip up or I say something that doesn't quite line up with what it should be or whatever, it is something that I want to know about it. It is something that I want to know about it. That's a great example of a linguistic slip up. Don't be a fucking pedant, obviously. Like there are times where I'm going to say something that is very clearly and obviously a misstep. But for something like this, for instance, this letter is a really fucking good point that is going to make me think more specifically about when I use the phrase pregnant people as opposed to pregnant women or, pregnancy, whatever. Like this language is meaningful is I guess the point that I'm trying to make here.
Absolutely.
So that's
awesome.
Our first letter. We got a second letter here that I've put in the mailbag, and I guess, June, you might as well go ahead and read this one.
I got it. It's titled Mailbag Re the Epstein Episode. This is from Sophie. Hi, Joan and Juice.
Okay, that's
so
a tie.
That's a tie, and I think
Joan
that
and
might
Josh,
be the third time we've gotten that. Is that like a separate category when it's like specifically Joe and Juice are like different?
Did you say Joan and Juice?
Drake and Josh, Joan and Juice.
I like Joan and Juice. I heard Joan and Juice.
I'll accept Juice. I'll accept Juice.
Yeah, I guess is it Juice? I guess it's got to be Juice because it's June, right? I was reading it as Joan and Josh, but I think you're right. Josh. That is Joan and Juice.
Yeah, so I thought it was Juice. Yeah,
it's gotta be
like Juche or
it's like Juche, the Juche idea. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're a North Korean podcast now. Yeah,
that's right. All right. I'll get on with it. Ill-Conceived has quickly become one of my go-to podcasts, along with In Bed with the Right, a fellow podcast approaching right-wing ideas about gender, sex, and sexuality, and which covers complementary topics to you guys. I'd recommend checking it out to any fellow listeners out there. I'm usually a lurker rather than someone actively corresponding, but as a listener from the UK, this will become clear why. I wanted to comment on a moment from your podcast covering Jeffrey Epstein. There was a moment where you mentioned someone in an email congratulating Epstein on the birth of a child. I think important context was that this email was from Sarah Ferguson, the then wife of then Prince Andrew. Make of that what you will. She also sends emails to him on multiple other occasions that I've seen. Keep up the great work with the podcast. Kind regards, Sophie. Thank you so much, Sophie.
Yeah, that was one that I had, it was one of the many things in that episode where I like noticed it and then I couldn't pull it in the moment. But this is a very important thing to note. And that's why I wanted to pull it in for this B-side. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, one of the things is like, it's impossible. It will always be impossible. And we should have made note of that. Absolutely. But it will always be impossible to like put within context every email that's like ever talked about, probably. Right. But I think this one in particular, especially as we were talking at the top here about consequences for like Prince Andrew and some of these people, it's like, I don't like some of these things. It's like they clearly, a lot of these people knew a lot of what was happening, and it's disturbing. And I think it's very important to name these people. I think it's very important that we do know a lot of the names, and we can't. Yeah, I think it's very important that we're like we actually attribute these potential probably crimes to the people that are involved.
And they need to put Sarah Ferguson on the stand too. And
I don't know too much about her. What is she doing now these days? Like,
well,
who
here's
is she?
The thing. She is out of the country at the moment.
Oh, awesome.
They don't know where she is.
Oh, that's cool.
So she's, I don't know, like she's probably in like the fucking Cayman Islands or something, right? Like she's probably gone off to one of those places where you can hide from the law.
Yeah.
Because where was Ghislaine? Where did they find her? I don't actually remember.
I don't either. That's actually something, it's so long ago at this point. I genuinely, I don't remember.
But I would assume that it's like a very similar situation here. Let me see if I can find where they actually were able to get her and arrest her. But, you know, similar kind of situation here where apparently, again, this is just skimming headlines. There are files there are emails in the files also indicating that like she emailed Epstein to like get her flights upgraded and shit like that. You know, she was also hanging out with Epstein right up until the arrest.
Oh yeah. Also, I just found that Ghislaine was found in a secluded property in Bradford, New Hampshire.
She was in New Hampshire?
She was in New Hampshire, yeah.
That's so funny. So probably same thing, right? She's probably, I would imagine that Fergie is currently hiding out.
You can't call her Fergie. You can't call her that.
I don't.
You can't put the Black Eyed Peas Fergie.
No, that's what they call her. No. I didn't come up with that. She's probably in hiding in the U.S. somewhere. That's just idle speculation, obviously, but like it stands to reason. It's a big country, and it's pretty hard to find people in the U.S. if you're trying to not be found, especially if you're in a state like New Hampshire or Maine or something like that. And
the current government is quite kind to predators and pedophiles.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's wild that she just vanished. Oh my God.
But yeah, it'll be very interesting between Mandelson and Andrew. I think, you know, depends ultimately on what the government decides to do, but
I'm interested to see what comes of it. Yeah. I don't really know who. I wish I knew more about UK politics and government. I don't quite know who's in charge of the persecution. I don't know if it's the Starmer government. I don't know if it's like an independent. It is Starmer's.
Well,
government.
I mean, it's the Starmer government that controls like the British version of the Justice Department. Although I will admit, I also don't fully know in terms of like what would need to be necessary to fully prosecute this, how that would work. You know, if you're one of our British listeners and you know a thing or two about this, you know, let us know. I'm not sure if this is prosecuted on the national level or the, you know, if it's the Met Police in London. I don't know.
Yeah, we're just sort of tourists when it comes to UK politics. You
not
know,
me. I know.
You know more.
I know enough to not sound like an idiot, and then the moment that like I have to get into details, I start sounding like an idiot again.
I feel like that's exactly how I am. I know enough to get excited when the Green Party wins a new seat, and also win an awesome picture at an election with someone with a bucket on their head and in an Elmo costume is like on the ballot somehow. I keep track of stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, anything more? Not really.
Guys with buckets on their heads, always a good time, no matter where you're at.
Did you see in that election, this is apparently not a new party. This has been around for a minute, but there was a party in this by-election that happened last night called the Monster Raving Loony Party that got 159 votes. I'm fascinated. I love that. I love the UK sometimes.
I mean, I feel like in New York, you always get stuff like that whenever you do like the mayoral election. You remember the Rent is Too Damn High party?
Oh, of course, yeah.
And Jimmy McMillan, wasn't that his name?
I think so.
That guy rules.
Yeah, that was a classic 2010s meme.
Do you remember, the thing I remember about Jimmy McMillan and the Rent Too Damn High party is that, well, first of all, the song.
Yeah.
He made an
Shmo
original
Yoho,
song.
Right?
Have you heard Jimmy McMillan's The Rent is Too Damn High song?
Wait, maybe not. I was thinking that it was like a parody or like do you remember Shmo Yoho, like the people that did the like auto-tune songs?
No, I remember that, but that's not what I'm talking about. He made a song of his own.
Oh my God, no.
I'm going to make a note here to stitch it in.
Rent Too Damn High is my thing. Jimmy McMillan is my name. Vote for Jimmy McMillan at the Rent Too Damn High party, November 2.
Y'all better tell about me.
Rent is too damn high. Ain't nothing to talk about. Ain't nothing else to talk about.
Y'all better tell about me.
Rent is too damn high. Ain't nothing to talk about. Ain't nothing else to talk about. All poor people are being run out of New York. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. All poor people are being run out of New York. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care.
Y'all better tell about me.
That guy was cool. Hey there, you're listening to a preview of an ill-conceived B-side. We do these episodes every other week exclusively for our paid subscribers, where we talk about stuff from the show that we weren't able to get to, read your mail from the world-famous mailbag, and also talk about news items and other stuff that is connected to what we've been covering on the main show. If you're interested in getting access, it's just $5 a month, and you can unlock these episodes by heading over to patreon.com/illconceived. Hope to see you there.